Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going straight to the source material to break down some really complex financial survival strategies into a structured step-by-step guide. We're going to be looking directly at the data, the recent policy shifts surrounding the cost of living squeeze, and how both individuals and larger systems are actually responding to it all.
Let's kick things off with this absolutely crucial question. Because let's be real, when you're managing on a low or fixed income, there is virtually zero margin for error, right? Every single penny, every daily habit, and every macro level government policy matters immensely. So, how do you keep your head above water? And more importantly, how do you eventually swim toward true financial independence? Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're covering 1. The cost of living squeeze. 2. Slashing your everyday expenses. 3. Rebuilding your credit score. 4. Avoiding high-cost credit traps. 5. The social fund safety net. And 6. The future of financial inclusion. Let's jump right into part 1, the cost of living squeeze. To really get this, we first need to look at the stark financial reality for low-income households today. The sheer scale of the issue here is pretty staggering. According to research cited by the Department for Work and Pensions, 1.88 million people are completely excluded from mainstream sources of credit. I mean, think about that for a second. Nearly 2 million people either have absolutely no access to credit or they're forced to borrow from incredibly high-cost lenders. When that many people are locked out of standard financial tools, it creates this massive systemic trap. Moving right along to part 2, slashing your everyday expenses. When you can't access mainstream credit, your immediate ground-level solution is maximizing the money you do have through really aggressive targeted expense slashing. So how do we build that daily budget back up? Well, let's start with some rapid-fire energy hacks from Clockwise Credit Union. Some of these might seem kind of small on their own, but cumulatively, they are a game changer. For instance, just fitting simple reflector foil behind your radiators can literally cut heat loss through your walls by up to 50%. Same goes for dropping your washing machine temperature down to 30 degrees instead of 40. It does the exact same job, but uses way less energy. Oh, and setting your hot water cylinder thermostat to exactly 60 degrees, that ensures the water is safe from bacteria, but stops you from paying to heat it to those scalding, totally unnecessary temperatures. Now, here is one of the most surprising, high-impact hacks you can use at the store. Seriously, check out the World Foods aisle in your supermarket. This one simple detour can cut your costs on staples. We're talking rice, lentils, spices, by up to 75% compared to the standard aisles. 75%. Add to that the trick of buying loose vegetables so you aren't paying a premium for prepackaged stuff you won't even finish. And out on the road, slowing down to exactly 70 miles per hour on the motorway actually optimizes your engine's fuel efficiency. Put it all together, and you really start to claw back some critical space in your budget. All right, part 3, rebuilding your credit score. Because once your daily budget is somewhat under control, it's time to tackle the mid-level system, which is repairing the very mechanism that unlocks better financial options for you. Listen, rebuilding credit on a tight income doesn't have to be this huge, intimidating thing, especially if you just follow these precise steps from credit experts. Step 1, always verify your report for errors, because disputing a mistake costs absolutely nothing. Step 2 is a brilliant little hack. Becoming an authorized user on a responsible family member's card actually lets their good payment history reflect on your report. Step 3 is absolutely vital if you're starting from zero. Open a secured credit card. You put down a small, refundable deposit, say $200, which becomes your limit. Pay it off every single month, and it builds your score safely. And finally, leverage tools like Experian Boost, which actively scans your bank account to give you credit for the utility and rent bills you're already paying anyway. If you remember one thing from this section, make it this: 10%. Keeping your credit utilization rate below 10% is the magic number. So if you have a credit limit of $1,000, you really want to keep your balance under $100. People with the absolute best credit scores out there consistently maintain utilization rates below this 10% threshold.
Which brings us to part 4, avoiding high-cost credit traps. Why is all this credit building stuff so incredibly important? Because if your score stays low, you become a prime target for some seriously dangerous lending structures.
Just look at this comparison. When you lose access to a mainstream bank offering APRs under 20%, the alternative is honestly terrifying. You might find yourself pushed into the home credit or doorstep lending market. And yeah, while these lenders might offer flexibility, like ignoring a missed payment here or there, that flexibility comes at an astronomical cost. We're talking typical APRs ranging from 272% up to an unbelievable 545.2%. And once you enter that ecosystem, it is incredibly difficult to budget your way back out. Let's look at part 5, the social fund safety net. This takes us to the macro level. When individual budgeting just isn't enough and mainstream credit is entirely out of reach, the government's social fund is designed to step in as the ultimate safety net. So, the Department for Work and Pensions actually deploys support in 3 very specific ways. First up, you have budgeting loans, which are totally interest-free and meant to help spread the cost of larger expenses. Then, there are crisis loans. These average about £81 and are strictly meant for averting immediate risks to a person's health or safety. Finally, you've got community care grants, which do not have to be repaid at all. They average around £442 and are specifically designed to help vulnerable people resettle in the community or escape domestic violence. But the really interesting thing is that the mechanics of this system are actively shifting to try and help people earlier. The DWP recognized that making someone wait 6 months for a budgeting loan often just pushes them right into the arms of those 500% APR illegal lenders we talked about earlier. So by proposing day one access to these interest-free budgeting loans, the goal is to preemptively steer vulnerable people away from both crisis loans and predatory lenders. And that leads us perfectly into part 6, the future of financial inclusion. Because making loans accessible earlier, that's really just a short-term fix. The DWP is looking to fundamentally reform how this entire welfare system operates moving forward. This official mandate from the Secretary of State is a huge deal. It signifies a massive structural shift in policy. The aim here is to turn the social fund from a passive sticking plaster, a system that just hands out cash and ends up recycling people through debt, into an active, conditional path to true financial independence. Now, impartially speaking, these reforms mean more support is being paired with much tighter conditions. For instance, if a user makes repeat applications for crisis loans, they're going to face mandatory interviews and full financial health checks. They'll actually have to develop action plans with advisors, kind of like a job seeker would. Plus, the system is shifting toward providing actual physical goods, like, say, delivering a brand new washing machine with a warranty, instead of just handing over a cash grant. This allows the government to leverage their bulk purchasing power and guarantees that the intended need is actually met. It's really fascinating that they cite a famous economic principle from Adam Smith in this policy document. It serves as a powerful reminder, honestly. Basic financial inclusion, meaning access to a bank account, affordable credit, a warm home, clean clothes, none of that is a luxury. It is a fundamental necessity in modern society. So, I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on today, as we look at both our own daily micro-budgets and the massive macro welfare policies governing our societies. Are our financial systems simply managing poverty, or are they actively paving the way to true financial independence? Thanks so much for joining this explainer. Keep analyzing and keep learning.